Hi guys, welcome back to the Far Side of Normal podcast. I am Stacy Farr, the creator and your host. This week I want to talk about a topic that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. And I hope that it will be something that resonates with you either now or possibly can help you in the future. What I want to talk about this episode is perspective. These last couple of years have been no joke, you guys. Lord have mercy. From 2019 on, it has just been a party, but not in a good way. If anyone has been in this world these last couple of years, you know the struggle has been REAL. COVID, recession, even though they don't want to call it that. The political brouhaha, a lot has been going on. And a couple of weeks ago, I was reminded of this quote from a book I read many, many years ago. And the quote goes, two women looked through prison bars. One saw mud, the other saw stars. And the book was about perspective. Both women were behind prison bars. One looked up, one looked down. And the book was talking about how you shift your perspective, even if your circumstances and your situations don't change, your perspective changing helps you. I want to focus on that this episode. I saw a TikTok, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and someone was, I'm tired of being in all these history in the making events. They didn't want to be in any more history making events. No more. They were done. They had reached their limit. It was a wrap. And I understand that reference because we've had one after another, and it has been, whew, yes, Lord. I want to use myself as the example, and I'll show you two sides of the coin. Because if I'm honest, these last couple of years, my perspective has been all in the mud. Because there's been lots of mud. It's been abundant. And I feel stuck, or I felt stuck. I've been mud city, but not the good kind of mud. You know, the mud where you have a facial and you lay and you bake and then you're all smooth and delicious and detox. No. This has been the mire and mud and muck. Kind of the muck of muckraking, the mud of sensationalism, the slinging mud, not the good mud where you go to the spa, the bad, challenging, stressful mud. I'll use my life as an example, and I'll show you one side of the coin, and then I'll flip it in the same time frame and show you the other side. Here we go. In 2019, we lost my mom to stage 4 colon cancer. When we found out, it was so far gone that she had a life expectancy of 4 to 6 months. If she did treatment, she had a life expectancy of 6 to 8 months. She decided not to do treatment, so in 2019, in April, she passed away. 2020, we had this new thing called COVID. I was on a project in New Jersey and Philadelphia at the time. As an aside, I used to train nurses on computer software called Epic. I was in Philadelphia and New Jersey and was supposed to be there for many, many more months, but I got sent home and they were saying, go home for a week while we try to figure out what this thing is going on, and we're not sure if you're coming back, but we think it'll just be a week, and go home and we'll let you know. I got on the plane. Something told me to take all my stuff, and I did, and then the bottom fell out of 2020. And that's when we were all in a global timeout. We had this new thing called COVID. And we got introduced to masks and social distancing and hand sanitizer and Lysol and hoarding toilet paper and trying to find paper towels, and a lot went down. Not just in our nation, but in the world. In 2021, I caught COVID, and then my sister caught it. And you guys, full disclosure, it was really bad. We were sick for months and months. And honestly, it was so bad, I thought we were going to die. Full disclosure, I couldn't move, I couldn't smell, I couldn't taste. One day, after many days in bed, I tried to go to the bathroom. I woke up passed out on the floor. It was that serious. Excuse my voice, I'm getting over something and I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's allergies in the South, but 2021, COVID. From that, I developed panic attacks and anxiety attacks. Never have I ever, that game, never have I ever had panic attacks or anxiety attacks. So I wasn't quite sure what it was. The first time I had one, I thought I was having a heart attack and I went to the ER. And that's when they explained to me, oh no, sweetie, this is a anxiety attack and then a panic attack. And we realized it came from being in lockdown for so long that the thought of going out and being around a large group of people and almost dying with COVID, panic attacks, anxiety attacks. That was interesting. 2022, received a project. It was remote, which was a good thing. I had the project. It was supposed to be up until the end of this year, 2023. And then in November, the company kind of sprung a leak on us, we'll say. And they breached contract, which forced me to lose my job through no fault of my own. Roll into 2023, financial struggle has been real, spiritual struggle has been real, physical struggle has been real. Back when I was taking care of my mom in 2019, I injured my hip, and I've still been working on getting it well from lifting her by myself. That is one side of the coin. There's been a lot of challenges. With those challenges, I've been wrestling with my faith, if I'm being honest. I've been struggling with the future and what it looks like or what it's supposed to be or even what I'm supposed to do when I grow up. The challenge of finances has not gotten better. It's gotten progressively worse. And it is not for the faint of heart. Recently, I was reading, and one of my favorite authors is Max Lucado, and I do daily devotionals. He has this book, 365 Days, and I don't remember the rest of it, but I'll put it down in the show notes. In this devotional that day, it was talking about stacking rocks. Back in the day in the Bible, it was a practice of the Israelites. Whenever something big or momentous happened, they would stack stones to commemorate that spot in that event so that when they came back by in future generations, or maybe they just came back through there, they would see these stones and recall what God had done for them, how he had saved them or rescued or provided, fill in the blanks. And Max Lucado was telling the story about when his daughter was younger, he was driving her to school. He was quiet and she asked what was wrong. He told her he was worried about not making a book deadline. And then at the time, she said, Dad, how many books have you written? 15. So you've made 15 deadlines before? Yes. God has helped you make 15 deadlines before? Yes. So you don't think he's going to help you make this deadline? He was convicted out of the mouth of babes, right? He was reminded to stack stones. Remember the 15 other times that God had helped him to meet the deadline. Just to leave him now? No. I've been stacking stones recently and trying to recall all the things that God has done in the past so that I can look forward to the future with hope, with joy, with anticipation instead of with dread, with trepidation, and with fear. We looked at the mud side of the coin. Let's look at the stars. Flip it. I didn't tell you that I stepped off of a plane at the end of 2018 and found out that my mom had stage 4 colon cancer. But I was coming from my first cruise ever that was paid for by a friend. I had just been on the seas enjoying life and got back to that news. The stars. I was able to, when I came home during the pandemic, there was still, I think, 2.5, 3 months of school left. I had the privilege of teaching a 6-year-old. Remember, I teach adults. It was totally different teaching a 6-year-old, but it was fun and he thrived. We had a schedule, we had a routine. I set up a classroom in my house and we had school every day. Because I was sent home for my project, a mom didn't have to worry about their child finishing up the school year. And I had fun, you guys. Was it challenging? Absolutely. But was it fun? Yes. I got creative. I was the lunch lady. It was this whole thing. I was the gym teacher. I was the teacher. We had nap, we had recess. It was a process. But it was great. And he got to thrive and flourish and finish strong. Other parents were scrambling. What were they supposed to do? Because we were in lockdown. Daycares were closing, schools were closing, everything was online. I was able to ease the burden of parents and finish the school year out with a 6-year-old strong. You guys, when I'm committed, I am committed. We had a whole classroom. We had a timeout tent for when he was overwhelmed. I bought a tent. I had this whole section in my house set up as a classroom. We had a little desk, we had a little chair, we had the wall with the world map, and then we had the globe. It was a lot. But all that to say, because I was home, I was able to do this for our family. We were able to have recess outdoors. There was this park behind where my sister was working at the time. We would go have lunch, go to the park for recess, and then come home, take a nap, and finish out the day. That was probably some of the most fun I've had, even in the challenge. Even though we were in lockdown, we discovered ways to not just be entertained, but also entertain the 6-year-old so that he wouldn't be distressed. I think people forgot that children were stressing out as well because they didn't know what was going on. All they knew was COVID and people died. To keep him with a sense of normalcy, we found things that we could do outdoors away from people. You guys, an hour away, we found this safari. It was amazing. It's where you are in your car and you drive around and you feed animals that are exotic. Just so you know, if you ever do a safari, do not, listen to me, look, don't do it. Don't believe the zebras. They will lie. They look innocent. They look sweet. They'll come up to the car. They'll bat their eyelashes and they will entice you to feed them. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it because they bite and they will trick you. They look so beguiling. Come, feed us. We will be nice to you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do not feed the zebras. We went on this safari. It was amazing. We were able to go play mini golf. There's this huge mini golf place with 2 sections, our 2 games. We were on one side and it was us, the attendants, and then way on the other side for the second game was another family. I was able to find not just a big pool that could fit for adults, but also a kiddie pool. Remember at the time, anything that had to do with activities or entertainment was sold out. I found not just 1, but 2 swimming pools, you guys. It was glorious. We were able to have our pool in our driveway, social distance, and not just entertain the 6-year-old, we were entertained. It was so much fun. But also, I was able to find board games, old school board games. You remember Operation and Monopoly? I was able to find old school board games in unlikely places because, again, everything was sold out. But God bless Kroger in the back of the section with a little kiddie aisle. Go Team Kroger. Was it arm and leg expensive? Yes. But did I find the games? Absolutely. I found Uno. I found a fishing game. We were able to give the 6-year-old a sense of normalcy in the pool, board games, and have a grand old time. And these are things we wouldn't have done if we hadn't been in lockdown because we would be too busy working and not have time to think outside the box. Also, I'm a little bit, full confession, OCD. And when I get fixated on something, it's almost as if it's an obsession. And for some reason, I always have Clorox wipes, and I always have hand sanitizers, and I always have Lysol. And this was before everything was scarce, but every time I would go to the store, it was almost this obsession where I had to get paper towel, toilet paper, Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer, Lysol, rubbing alcohol. When we shut down, and as the COVID lockdown went on, my garage was full and we were set. It was so much so I didn't hoard, but I was prepared. Let's just say that. And I was able to give away not just the 4 packs, but like family size packs of toilet paper and paper towels to people when they couldn't find it. We were able to give away huge things of hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes when people couldn't find it. We were able to give away Lysol when people couldn't find it. You guys, we were so well prepared that it took us a little bit over a year to completely deplete what was in my garage. And that's giving stuff away while we were still in lockdown and people couldn't find it. That was God being gracious. Also, stars, we were treated from home when we had COVID. I know a lot of people had to go to the hospital and it was overrun and it was overwhelming, and some people ended up on ventilation and it was a whole ordeal. Because we have so many friends in the medical field that are doctors and nurses, my sister and I were treated from home. We got to stay in our house, in our beds, in our separate rooms, quarantined, and treated from home by a friend that was a doctor. Our medications were called in. We had to do our breathing treatments, the whole 9 yards. Everything was taken care of from home. We didn't incur a huge hospital bill. We didn't have to go into the hospital, and we literally got taken care of from home. And if I'm honest, had better care because it was personal, because they knew us. And let me go backwards. My sister moved in with me in 2018. It's a long story, but God knew that she needed to be there because when we found out at the end of 2018 that my mom had cancer, the two of us were already together. When COVID happened, the two of us were together. We were able to quarantine together, even though separately when we were sick. That was a blessing. I know a lot of people were lonely when we had lockdown because they were living by themselves. We were fine. Also, I got to check off 2 things on my bucket list recently. For a milestone birthday, I've always wanted to go to a ball. I don't know, the dresses and the pomp and circumstance. And then Bridgerton reminded me that I always wanted to go to a ball. What did I get to do? I went to a Bridgerton experience. You guys, it was amazing. Not only that, I was happy with the experience, but when I went and introduced myself or presented myself to the queen, I got a card on a silver platter, no less, from a butler in full regalia that told me I was in the running to be the diamond of the ball. What? I was content just to be there, looking at all the beautiful gowns and the handsome men in their outfits. No. Not to be outdone. I was in the running, you guys, to be the diamond of the ball. That is insanity. I didn't end up being the ball diamond, but just the process was amazing. You get handed a card on a silver platter. Who does that? That was amazing. I've also always been fascinated with mermaids. Here's my nerdiness coming out. Don't judge me. I love mermaids, and one of my favorite movies is The Little Mermaid. I'm really excited about going and seeing The Little Mermaid this week. Anyways, I've always wanted to be a mermaid, so for this milestone birthday, I had a mermaid photo shoot, you guys. If I do say so myself, it turned out unbelievable. Oh my gosh, it was glorious. I shared the pictures with one of my friends, and she chewed my butt, telling me that I should pass these pictures around because I need to be somebody's model. I thought she was full of poo, but she was dead serious. It was amazing. It was magical and it was wonderful. I'm still blushing. It was so glorious. Also, I lost 25 pounds in these last couple of years. Not to be outdone, there is this concert every year that is sold out as soon as they start the tickets being sold. They're gone like that. I won floor seat tickets, row 25, to the biggest concert in this area. It's called Kicks 99 Guitar Pull Tickets. Through Tropical Smoothie, I won a pair of tickets, row 25, floor seats. That concert every year sells out. The only way that I was able to go is because I won tickets. And usually that's the only way that you can go. Unless you have piles of money and you're the first within an hour or two, it's a wrap. But not to be outdone, my sister called me and told me to give those tickets away this one. And I'm thinking, I am not giving away row 25 floor seat tickets. Are you crazy? She was like, no, 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 no. Because for her friend, the mayor, he wasn't going. So I got row 15. What is this madness? We went to the biggest concert of the year, row 15 floor seats. It was incredible. And the lineup was, oh my gosh, it was glorious. I was so close. I was watching the sweat. It must have been really hot on stage. The beads of sweat on their foreheads. It was unbelievable. But also during that time, I got my creative back, my creativity, my mojo, if you will. I had kind of lost it with all the struggle and the challenge, but I created about 20 new webisodes for my web series. I tweaked 2 full-length movies that I wrote. And recently, I won tacos for a year from Taco Bell. The stars have been big. But also, I've been able to pray more, study out the scriptures more, and sit with God on a daily basis. I've gotten to figure out what I need to do to heal my temple, which is my body. I'm working on my health. Those are the stars. Same years, different side of the coin. I say all this because there's always going to be challenges, but blessings mixed in. And I don't know if you're like me, but I'm so tired of doing hard things. I just want to be cared for and taken care of and looked after and have ease and leisure. And God doesn't work that way. He just doesn't. He works through struggle. I'm like, can you work through blessings? That'd be super great. Somehow I think he's going to say no. And that's okay, because my point is my circumstances hadn't changed. My situation hasn't changed. My perspective is starting to change. I want to focus on the stars. Years ago, I lived in Colorado and I went camping. I don't know if you've ever been up high in the mountains in Colorado. First of all, it is breathtakingly beautiful. And the air is so crisp and smells so fresh and clean. Oh, I miss it. Also, it's really quiet up there. You can hear the animals and nature all around you. The biggest thing, though, there's no light pollution. When you are in your tent at night and you look up, you finally get to see how many stars there are. It seems as if there's a gajillion. They are so bright and so light, and you feel as if you're sitting among the stars. They seem so close. I caught myself a couple of times reaching out to try to touch them because I felt like I could, because I felt I was that close to them. I highly recommend, you don't have to do it in Colorado. Colorado would be an absolutely gorgeous spot. But if you ever get the chance, go somewhere where they don't have light pollution. Arizona is another great place. Sedona is gorgeous. Go to a place at night where there's not a lot of light and look up. It gives you perspective. It reminds you of how big the world is and how amazing it is and how small you are, which also reminds you how small your problem is, even though it seems big. I know that I always talk about what you focus on and how if you take a dime, if you put it close enough to your eye, it blocks out everything else. I don't want to look at the mud anymore. It's still here. It's still plentiful. But I'd rather look at stars. Stars are beautiful. Stars are gorgeous. And it's not in a Pollyanna way where you ignore or downplay your trials or your struggles or your challenges. No, I just want to stack stones and remember all the things that God has brought me through. There were times when I was taking care of my mom, when I would get in the shower and just cry because I was so tired and so mentally spent. I don't know if you've ever taken care of someone that's dying. It is, may you never have to experience it or have to go through it. But there were days when I would just get in the shower and weep and then get out, put your big girl panties on, and jump back in the fight. God brought me through that and so much more. I have to be reminded, like Max Lucado's daughter reminded him, if God brought me through all of those other things, is he not going to bring me through these challenges right now? I don't know what you're going through, or maybe you are living the dream. You have rainbows and ponies, unicorns and puppies. I hope so. But if you live in the real world, like the rest of us mere mortals, you may be having challenges or struggles or opposition. Maybe your life hasn't turned out the way you thought it would, or hoped it would, or dreamed it would. Maybe you've lost your dreams. I don't know. I do know for me, these last couple of weeks have reminded me to start, number one, stacking stones. Recall all the ways that God has gotten me through and helped me overcome and provided in the past, so that I can look to my future and not be anxious, not have panic attacks, not be distraught. My circumstances may not change overnight or my situation, but my perspective helps because it gives me hope. If you're not religious or if you don't believe in God, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you can go outside and look up and just remember how big things are. And again, how small your challenges are. But for me, I have to have my faith back in God, which means my eyes on him and have to look at stars and the sun. Perspective. There's always two sides to those coins. Let's be people that look at the stars, not the mud. Let's stack some stones of remembrance. What have you overcome? What have you gotten through? What have you survived? What have you thrived in? Where have you been and where are you at now? Look back and see how you've made it this far. And let that give you hope that you'll make it further, that you will have a hope in the future. Two women looked through prison bars. One saw mud, the other saw stars. Let's be those that stargaze in 2023. Thanks so much for hanging out in the far side of normal. Until next time. Goodbye.